Welcome back to another episode of Pushing Back Cars with me, Paul Melon McFadden. I hope you guys are all well. It's been a minute. Mike and I both have had life happening. It happens to all of us, right, from time to time. Got our intentions, and then there's what happens in the world. But anyway, Mike, bloody good to hear from you, mate. Good to see you. Good to catch up. What's going on in your world?
Hey, you too, brother. Yeah, we just totally had a meltdown on the setup for this. We haven't done a show in about 2 months. We both been pretty busy, and we just messed up the recording. We messed up the audio. We messed up pretty much everything you could just to kick this one off. So we're really going to give it the old good try and try to give you a good show. But starting off kind of bumpy. But hey, like Melon said, man, it's the way it happens sometimes.
So you and I have both been super busy, and I've been down here establishing life back in Australia and getting a family settled, and don't even really know where to start. But you've certainly been busy. You've been away. You've been away and you're home again. So first up, welcome home, and thank you for what you've done, and welcome home. And I hope that you got a real sense of peace and like a homecoming feeling. Tell me, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to be home?
Well, we both come home in a sense. So you're home in Australia now, and no longer living over in the Middle East, which is great. And just seeing pictures over the last 2 months, and what you guys have been doing has been really nice. So for you, welcome home in a different sense, but it's great to see you guys happy and really taking advantage and thriving back in Australia, man. So I just want to pass that to you first.
Thanks very much, brother.
Oh yeah,
really appreciate it. It means a lot. It feels like it is a big thing to be back here, and it sort of doesn't really feel like home yet. But I love being here. I love the environment I'm working in, the absolute professionals that are on staff, and the students I'm training. I cannot speak highly enough of the training system and what's being achieved here. It's just an amazing thing to participate in. And the feeling of belonging and being respected and being a valued member of the team is just a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I really hope other people get to experience stuff like this in their professional lives at some stage. It's not without challenge, it's difficult. There's a lot expected. And then personally, I'm living, it's like where I was back at the tail end in Saudi. So I'm living away during the week, and I'm home in Melbourne on the weekend. So it's like a 2.5 hour, 2-hour-40 drive each way. And Cherry's gone back to work part-time, which is big, first time for a very long time, and managing that in and around commitments with the kids, school, and finding education solutions for Annie, and sorting out the next stage of life for all of us, which she does so well. She's been absolutely flat out. And so it's just been a really challenging time for us as a family, with just a lot going on for each of us individually. But it's felt really good. We've had time to breathe, time with family, time with close friends. And, I've seen the kids grow and develop in ways that I just, sort of intellectually knew was coming, but to see it happen to your own kids, like, no joke, I look at them a lot. Michael's just about to turn 16, and he's going to be turning 18. Mike, can you believe it? And it just, I look at them often and I think, what happened to those little people, the little ones?
dude, just the fact, number one change for me that I noticed is, Melon and I FaceTimed the other day, and he was just showing me his new place and kind of like where he's working, different things. And I said, number one thing I saw was green. I was like,
Yeah.
look at the grass, I like just being able to look around and see grass is so nice versus, oh yeah, that's rock and sand and it's hot,
Yeah.
It's such a different environment, dude. I remember that every single time I've ever come home from, like a Middle East or Africa deployment, is just coming home and like staring and looking at green and seeing grass and taking my shoes off. And like, I know it sounds funny, but like wiggling my toes in cool grass in the morning is so nice. And just little changes like that. But then just seeing everything that Melon's been doing, man, and the communication, I mean, just with his work is one massive compliment to who he is and what he's doing and how he's been received, how he's operating, his mindset while he's working with some real professionals. I know we've had discussions and different people and maybe a future guest, but like, you know, working with instructors and pilots and stuff from the famous roulettes demonstration team, you know, and things like that. I mean, Melon's really up there. He's not going to tell you necessarily, but he's really up there working with the best in Australia. And it doesn't surprise me, but, you know, just being surrounded by such professionals and a good work environment is such a gift. And Melon's not taking it for granted. And then just seeing Michael grow, seeing Annie grow. I mean, they're both doing amazing things and have just grown as young adults, but just wonderful human beings. And seeing the fruits of Melon and Cheza, their efforts is inspiring to a lot of people. And I just want to really commend you on, you know, everything, man. And we said it the other day, but you're living the dream, man. Like, you know, you're always fighting for the dream, but I'm here to remind you that like you guys are living the dream. So great job.
Wow. I'll just let that land for a second. It's funny, you know, like in your own life, I don't think ever at any point in life, I don't think I'll ever be that sense of, oh, you know, I've arrived now, can sit on the porch and get the rocket chair going, because there's just always the next challenge and the next thing in front of you. But you're 100% right, Mike. This has been something I've dreamed about for a very long time, getting back here and being in this position. You're right. It's a hugely privileged position to be in, and it's taken a lot of effort and work. But there's something in what you're saying there about regenerating the gratitude again. And sometimes it's really good to have a trusted friend go through some stuff with you. Like, you know, that's you for me, obviously, how close we are. And hearing it again or seeing it again through their eyes can just help regenerate those elements that you can sometimes miss in your own life when it's just right there, you know, you're in it. So it can be hard to see it a bit. The fish doesn't see the water, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as for you, you know, you were saying before you went, you know, you were having your last deployment party and getting ready to go, and family and friends and all that kind of stuff. And here you are, you know, you're on the other side of that in a senior leadership role, doing the business and taking care of the rest of us. I'm sure you must have some real insights and stuff that you have some real expertise in now as a leader about managing that intensity change, you know, how that manifests for people returning with all your experience and how many times you've done this before. What are some of the insights you're able to share with us about maybe how you're managing it this time compared to back in the day when you hadn't done it many times, that coming back from, you know, high stakes operational environment back to, I know normal life doesn't really describe what you do to most of us. We've got some sense of what it is that you do, but how are you going in that transition from intensity back to daily life at home?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, man. It's very important, especially for anybody that's ever deployed. You know, this is my sixth operational tour and my final one, God willing. That's by choice, mind you. You know, it wasn't as dynamic as my previous ones have been since I had this injury. So I was in a lot different role, one that I've never been in before. If I'm being honest, I was not completely unprepared, but I was completely in a different mindset and prepared to go somewhere not even on the same continent that I ended up going to. Uh, so I showed up with no knowledge of processes or anything, or even the team members that I was going to be working with, because we've been completely separated in different lines of effort. So it was very challenging for me to show up and be there and be like, how am I going to get anything out of this? How am I going to be successful? what is the real mission here? What needs to happen to even get there? And it's really easy to be like, hey, I'm just going to be positive. But how does that correlate every single day that you wake up and you go about your day? I'll just really summarize it with this, man. I'm not going to get into specifics about what I was doing where I was, but man, there are just some really good people in this world, and I happen to work with quite a few of them. And you know, we always have a saying is this, you could go to the best places on earth with the worst people and have a terrible time. You could go to the worst places with the best people and have an amazing time. Uh,
Yeah.
I was very blessed to be in a really great place with great people, and it just really kind of worked out in such an awesome way. It wasn't without challenges. It wasn't, like I just sat back and it was like everything happened for us. No, we had a lot of tough conversations. We had a lot of unexpected problems that we couldn't control. It was a very logistically heavy type environment with tons of coordination and verbiage. Uh, just so nuts in a way I've never experienced before. But the willingness of people to listen, to communicate, to get over themselves, to want to contribute and step in and say, "Hey, I don't really understand this, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to help you," was just so nice to be around and having that trust. So, having that experience, I know getting back to your question is just how does it feel coming home and adjusting and what's going on? Every day, man, I kept in mind that like this is my last time. This is it. Like I'll never be back here. I'll never do this ever again. What can I take away from today? How can I learn something different? Um, and now that I'm back, it is a transition in my mind of saying, hey, this chapter in my life is coming to an end. I'm in the fourth quarter of my career. I'm in the second half of the fourth quarter. And uh, going from that daily input of, hey, I'm really doing meaningful things. I'm contributing. I'm seeing the changes and the effects daily, not weekly, not monthly. And then coming home and you really pump the brakes. Going from 100 to 25 is a real challenge, from your sleep cycle to your thought process to your communication to your daily questions of like, what am I really doing? What am I doing here now? What's my purpose? Kind of your identity, right?
Yeah.
That was all relevant in the past on every deployment I've come home from. And I'm sure it is for you as well, going from living in Saudi to coming back here with expectations being different, different groups, different communication. It's always an adjustment period. Man, I really feel like I'm flirting with mastery in that sense of recognizing what I'm feeling, where it's coming from, why I feel that way, and then immediately going to a sense of gratitude and switching over to acceptance and a way forward. I feel like everything I've been through has helped prepare me for that by not ignoring it, by realizing that it is a real thing and hitting it with this filter system has just been so healthy. I feel such achievement. I'm able to feel gratitude. I'm able to feel, like acceptance of, hey, my time is pretty much up. I've contributed. I've done everything that I said I would, and then some. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the people I did it with, and I'm also recognizing the mission success. But it doesn't mean I need to hold on to it for the rest of my life and just act like this was the pinnacle of everything. And, whatever, there's so much more to life. Like I'm being home, I'm being present. I got immediately when I got home, I saw my mom. That was priority. And my mom was so happy and excited to see me. She just lost her dog. I lost my dog.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, August, was it August 20th? I think my dog passed away. I had to FaceTime him before they put him down, and that was really tough because I had him for 16 and a half years. That was my only bad day I had on deployment. That was my only bad day. And then next morning, I immediately woke up with a sense of gratitude. Um, but I got to see my mom first thing I came home, and she just kind of looked at me and gave me a hug, and she just like knew like that's it. Almost what 18 years has gone by, and almost 2 decades that I've been doing this. And she just looked at me and she just like kind of nodded her head and smiled and gave me a big head, like you did it. You got through it, all of it.
It's got to
And
be, that's got to be huge for a mother with a son in a role like yours, Mike, to have that sense that your boy's done his job and he's done his duty and he's stood his shift and he's home now, that he's safe. Must be a big thing for your mum.
yes, my mom was tears of joy and big smiles. And it was nice to give my mom that sense of peace, that she could relax some and know that yeah, I can't imagine what it's like being a parent and like having to worry for a deployment, let alone six over 18
Yeah,
years and all the stuff, and worrying about getting injured or hurt or different things. And my mom's been through enough. My brother almost getting killed back in Iraq in '05, and then dealing with me going in and doing everything that I've done for 2 decades. I've caused my mom a few gray hairs, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah.
now I just
I just,
want her to know, like, hey, it's okay, and you can relax. And I'm still going to finish out my 2 years and teach everything that I know to the next generation and pass everything on as it's my responsibility, and then walk away and focus on everything else that life has for me that's showing its face. So anyway, it's all good, man, and it's been a nothing but a positive experience coming back. And yeah, I'm in a great place, to say the least.
I had I think I had like the rare fortune of coming back and really getting a sense of mission and purpose professionally in what I'm doing. Um, you know, in a sort of mentor teacher role with these young pilots going through their military training, and it just has such alignment. All my values are still the same values that have been espoused by this organization and these students going out in the world, and the mission that they're facing, like I'm 100% in on it. I know that there can be a real thing in the transition for me getting home. Having that has been a really big deal, Mike. Like I know that there's often this thing I know after a deployment and tours, and then I know a similar thing people know in sport. After a Super Bowl or after an Olympics, it can be that real sense of like, what was that all for, or what's the next thing? And it can be a bit of a time of challenge for people who are, thrusters, who are alphas, whatever the term is, successful people, driven people, people who've dedicated a lot of time and energy and effort and resources to mastering something difficult. That when you can have that, mountain peak in your rear vision mirror, there can be like, well, what's happening next?
Mm.
Is there something maybe you can talk to there about what you're doing and how you're regenerating purpose and mission again? Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this, having that North Star out in front of you above the horizon. And I know that there's, him and other psychologists talk about there's a dangerous time when you achieve a goal.
Yes.
You need to be aware, so maybe there's something you can share from having done this repeatedly, and you're in a transition now, and you are, looking at another transition probably in a couple of years from now, what you're doing right now to regenerate meaning and purpose, and whether you see that this is a risk or not, or, just your feelings on this topic. And if you are doing something in this, how you're doing it and what you're doing, maybe it might be helpful for many of our first responders and military listeners and their families?
No, it's a great question. And I know it's probably a pretty common one for everybody that's listening to this is like, pursuit of excellence, pursuit of a goal. And what does that look like? Man, I'll tell you one thing that was looming on me for deployment is because I got injured, I got set back, and I wasn't able to necessarily be lined up to get promoted. That was a big part for me is like, hey, I would love to get promoted throughout this deployment and earn my spot to get it so I can retire with, better benefits and stuff like that for a future family that I don't have, but I'm saving and investing for it. So that was a goal of mine at the beginning, especially when I got injured. I was like, man, how am I going to progress? How am I going to get promoted? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Throughout a lot of things prior to deployment, but just my mindset and kind of what I started focusing on, man, is, what? For me personally, maybe sometimes I was hunting the wrong things and I was after the wrong things. You mentioned like a Super Bowl. You can expend yourself in every way possible to get that Lombardi trophy. But at the end of the day, man, it's a piece of metal that sits on a shelf and collects dust. And if it doesn't have any more meaning than that, then what was the whole pursuit of it anyway? So really going into this last deployment, my mindset was I really don't necessarily care if I get promoted. I really don't care about physical achievement or accolades. My biggest thing that I want to focus on is who am I when I show up and my relationships. And literally that's what excited me every single day is, man, who am I showing up at stand up in the morning? Who am I when problems arise in this team? Who am I when we have successes in this team? And do I really have a good relationship with the people in this team? And that was it. I kept it really simple every day, man. And what I can reflect on now and look at is very clear. When I focused on those things, the positive ripple effects that did happen, but I wasn't just solely focused on creating them. All of the achievement came from that, but it was a byproduct of what I was really focused on. You know, uh, having success come back was nice to hear, but it wasn't the goal, if that makes sense. Like, of course, I wanted to be
Yeah.
successful, those sort of things. I was at a point when, there was a discussion of like, hey, is Mike good enough to get promoted? Because I was in a weird spot because I was injured and different things. And I had to sit down with leadership and have that discussion of like, hey, look, have I done enough? Have I earned this? And look through everything. And I already visited that space and said, what if they tell me no? What if they say, no, you can't do it for X, Y, and Z? Dude, I've been more blessed with a career and opportunities and things that I've done that people would kill for. And I recognize that. I'm not blind to it. And I really just sat back and say, okay, if I could not get that, look at what I've done. Look at what I've been part of. Look at who I am sitting here today. Look at the friends I have in my life. Look at my family. Look at all these things. Dude, it's beautiful. I'm not going to define myself by not having one thing. You know what I mean? And it just gave me peace. Where at the point I walked into the meeting and I wasn't arrogant, I wasn't too laxed. I just walked in with a sense of peace of like, whatever they say to me is good. If I can't and I end up retiring as the same rank that I am, great. If they walk in and tell me, hey man, you've done enough to do it, that's awesome. Great. It changes nothing. Like I still want to be the same guy. I still want to be the same teammate, the same friend, the same mentor, the same leader going forward. and it just wasn't the focus anymore. It did turn out better than anticipated. I did get my promotion, so I'm very grateful for that.
So
And
good, man.
yeah, and it's cool, right?
It snuck through again. It snuck through again, Mike. Obviously, the emails that I sent with photographic evidence was insufficient. Got overlooked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool, right? But really, what does that mean? It means better retirement for a family that I don't have yet. But
But it's a lot of things, right? Like, look, I think you're really talking about something very, very important right now. Like you're talking about maybe a shift in focus on the having, and a focus on transitioning from that into a focus on being, like who you're being, rather than what the have result. And I've heard this phrased as that most people have a have, do, be. Like if I have a great job, I'll do the actions and I'll put in the work and then I'll be happy. If I
yeah,
have a beautiful wife, I'll, be very affectionate and loving to her and I'll be fulfilled and in love. And I reckon that flow, which I think is a very common it's the way people think life is lived, certainly with social media and influences and all this kind of BS. The have, do, be flow is fundamentally flawed. And I think it is a be, do, have. Like
yes,
the being, right? And if you're talking here about transitioning into, you just said there who you were being in the morning, who you were being when there was success, who you were being when there was challenge, and then rather than focusing on the outcome, which the outcome is not under our control. But then how much more likely you are to have a positive outcome when you have that way of being.
yes, and
Like I've been also having a similar thought over the last 6 months, like about really genuinely going to work and being like, I will be the most positive person in the building. And we're talking about a pretty stellar crowd of positive people. And I'm like, no, that's my challenge, is turning up as the most positive person. Being the most positive person in every conversation is a thing that I'm doing. Rather than like, I'm here to get promoted or I'm here to get, written up in a certain way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The focus is, and what you're talking about, man, is great because you're looking at external results. You're putting those onto, and it's really leading to your internal happiness or your internal
Yeah.
sense of success, right? And look at the world, man. The world is just ugly, and all of the input that is coming from every direction, like you said, social media or other people or what people say about you or promotions or badges that you wear on a uniform or something, like all this external stuff is supposed to define like who you are. And just think of like, make it, I have like this vision of like going external. If I wrote down positive and negative things of all the stuff that I face every single day, like how that's injecting me with feelings, with emotions, with sense of pride, with sense of failure. I did that for a long time because the world told me to. I wasn't successful unless I had a title. I wasn't successful unless I was a rank. I wasn't successful unless I went through some type of selection or training to show that I am a good man or a tough man or whatever you want to call it. Dude, this last year for myself, I have learned so much, and I'm gonna attest for me personally, through my renowned and newly formed faith, that, man, when I focus on myself and my soul and make sure that my actions through my heart and soul are pure and guided by good values and principle, that it's not external going into the internal, it's my internal flowing into every aspect of the external. So
Yes.
if
Yeah.
I'm good, my mind's good, my heart's good, my soul's good, it flows and seeps into my relationships, my work, my leadership style, the
Yes.
conversations that I have, and I go into them, not the other way around. That
Yes.
is powerful when you
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
that vision. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I can picture you at work coming from being grateful, like you are just you're walking around, you're experiencing gratitude, and then the way that you're going to act around people is totally different than if you're there focused on, I need to get this promotion, I need to get this external thing has to get done. You coming from gratitude, you are going to generate gratitude, and people around you who interact with you all day, those people are going to experience themselves a feeling of gratitude. You're going to be generating that out into the world rather than feeling under pressure, feeling stressed, external stuff coming into the external world, causing your internal world in a negative way.
Mhm.
Your internal positivity going out into the world, causing that to manifest in a real way. That's what I'm understanding from what you're saying.
Yes, and it's become a lifestyle, really. It's not like only when I go to work. It's not only when I spend time with friends in a certain time. It's every single day. And if you were to try to define that of like, well, how do you do that, Mike? How does that look in your day-to-day movement? I wrote it down here, just trying to think about it, dude. Whenever I wake up in the morning, I sit down. I have some coffee because coffee makes us all happy, and instantly start off with gratitude for life and self.
Yeah.
I reflect at least 5 to 10 minutes, man. Look where I'm at. Look what I'm doing. Look who's in my life. Look what I've accomplished. Uh, I woke up today. That's my other big one, man. Like I've just waking up. I mean, how many people didn't? It's guaranteed that it's going to happen one day, but today's not the day, man. And I have such great opportunity, and I'm so happy. Um, Once I start with gratitude and know what I have and not wishing what I did have, uh, that's where that negativity likes to seep in for the day.
Mm.
And I like to say, hey, I need to be aware of my negative emotions, thoughts, and situations that are coming. Like I already know that they're coming because the world's not perfect and it's ugly. Um, why am I thinking about this? Why am I anxious? Why am I nervous? Why am I scared? Why am I, you know, troubled by these thoughts? Dude, and I visit those situations right on the spot. Man, I know I got a shitty conversation coming up today because yesterday was a blow up and this is gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. So where do I find peace in that? Well, I know who I am. I know that I'm not, acting out of anger. I'm not acting out of crazy emotion. Uh, I'm going to address it. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to start that conversation today. I'm going to gain control. I'm going to present it in a way that's saying, hey, listen, I know yesterday was shitty, but we're here today. Let's have this conversation with the best outcome and let's move
Mm.
on, right? That gives me confidence. That gives me peace. That gives me the ability to move through the anxiety, through the nervousness, is I'm going to address it because I'm prepared to. I'm capable of doing it. And
Yeah.
tell myself that I am good enough to deal with it. Not, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Oh man, I feel like shit today. Oh, this blah blah blah, and this negative talk. I need to reinforce the positive and reaffirm. And that's the last part, right? Is daily affirmation. I need to give myself credit. I need to give myself love, really, on, man, look what I went through yesterday. Look at what I'm going through right now. Look what I'm gonna have to go through today, and I'm still willing to even do it.
There has to be that internal validation, because everyone has a childhood that has had them create certain feelings and thoughts and ways of being to deal with the childhood we all had. And we can just live our life out, and you're arguing with the wife about the friggin', closing the doors in the cupboard and stuff, but it's not that. You had a repressed childhood with parents yelling and you're like, I can't bear someone telling me what to do. And while the other person's like, you know, if they won't do what I'm asking them to do, there's no love. And you both have this, it's all these unspoken stuff that's happening, these internal fears that we can have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not addressing that, you know, you just have an argument about the freaking cupboard or the clothes or whatever it is that you think you are arguing about. That's from a place of fear and lack, and that is just underneath everything for everyone. You know, and if you're able to just acknowledge, you know, I have a fear in this area, I have nervousness, even just to yourself, and like, why shouldn't I? Like, I'm taking on something big here, or I'm in this relationship that I'm trying to create as a magnificent thing, and things that, of course, are going to come up. And you can have a moment of, you know, like thinking like, man, I've come a long way. Like, this is an amazing thing I've created, or I'm also worthy of love. And if a friend came to me with this scenario, I'd be like, you know, this person you described is really a good person who deserves love and happiness and contentment and safety and so on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not coming from a place of masking and pushing and repressing. You can come from a place of, actually, there's a lot to be grateful for, even inside yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And realizing that, man, I really truly have the ability to create something. You know, there was a couple things when I got out there, dude. Like I said, I knew nothing about the AO that I went to, the area of operations. I was not prepared to go there. I didn't know the people. I didn't know the team because I was with a completely different group. And I show up and I'm sitting there asking myself those questions, you know, like, how do I do this? Where do I go? And hey, does this exist? Or does anybody know about this? And everybody's looking at me like, listen to this guy coming in asking these, like, no, it doesn't exist. And I'm like, all right, well, that sucks, you know? And I'm sitting there struggling, like, well, why hasn't anybody done it? Why hasn't anybody made this? Why hasn't anybody stood this up? Why hasn't anybody, you know? And I'm sitting there and I'm going, why am I worried? Why am I asking these questions? Am I capable of this? Yeah. Okay. You know what? Hey, just knock off all the talk. I'm going to create it. I'm going to do it. And I did it, you know, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but I'm saying, dude, I had the capability the whole time. And I was getting so worked up that nobody else did it. I felt the negativity seeping in. I was like, no. Take that away. That's a waste of time, a waste of energy. I'm going to create it and make it what it should be. Not just for me, but for the process, for the people, for the team, you know, everything. And I did that with quite a few things.
Yeah.
And not by myself. I started it, but then people saw it and started contributing, and then it became ours, which brought us together, which was the best part. And, you know, something else too, like we're talking about realizing the internal focus is way more important than the outside. There's 3 questions that I like to ask myself too sometimes in a bad situation and a tough conversation. If not me, then who? If I'm not going to do it, then who's going to do it? And then I go right to, am I capable of this? Am I capable of doing it? Yeah, I could probably do this. I'm going to do it. The second one is, if not now, then when? Okay, well, if this isn't going to happen now, then when's it going to happen? And you leave it out in space, and your mind starts going of like, is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen in a week, in a month, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Is this ever going to happen? And you go down that rabbit hole, and it's torture. Yeah. Hey, if not now, then when? How about right now? How about I do it right now? I can do this. It might be hard, might be shitty, but man, I can do this right now and fix this and take all those emotions and all that anxiety away. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And then the last one is, if not here, then where? If we're not going to have this conversation here right now, then where are we going to do it? Right? Maybe tomorrow's a better day. Okay. Hey, let's plan for that. Let's make the time. Let's make the place to do it. Got it? All right. Yeah, let's do it. Cool. I'm capable of that. I can do that. I can control that. I'm not going to leave it up to the external to decide. I'm fully capable of running it from the internal and be like, yeah, I got this. Right. Those 3 questions can be applied through every single day, man. Everything, whether it's like, hey, we're going to come on and do a show with Melon and I, right? yeah, I can ask myself, it applies. When I get to work later today, what am I going to do? I'm going to go into a meeting and people are going to task me with something. And I'm going to say, okay, okay, can I do this? Yes. Can I do this now? Or do I have to plan a time? And then if we're not doing it right here, then where do I have to do it? Or can I do it at?
Mm.
Dude, and it gives you structure, it gives you confidence, and it allows you to see what you're capable of, not relying on other people to take care of my problems for me. That has been in such a focused state throughout the past year, but really 6 months. It's changed my life, when I realized that the internal affects the external and it shouldn't be the other way around, because otherwise, dude, I'm just going to
Yeah.
find myself lost.
And it's like when you're in that state, you know, you're in a state of gratitude, and it also sounds to me like you're in the state of being responsible. That you are just, you're walking around in your mind, I'm responsible. Stuff needs doing, boom, Mike's the one. You know what I mean? Like that's the state you are in, of being responsible. Then actions just flow, boom, effortlessly. Stuff's getting done because it's aligned with who you're being. You're not making an effort to do something. It's actually covering up the fact that, you know, you're freaking chasing a write up or a goal of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Where the action, you know, it sort of feels hollow even to yourself, let alone everyone else around you, where they're like, man, what's this guy thrusting for? You know what I mean? He's pushing us. We know he's trying to get this freaking promotion, rather than just the same guy, same situation, who's just taking care of stuff because it needs to be done. It's a totally different vibe for the people around you and for yourself. You know, that word authenticity, you're just being authentically yourself, and there's all this power you have in the world, this traction you're going to get things done, because people know you're not doing it for yourself. You're just doing it because, you know, you are being in a state of gratitude and responsibility, and you're just generating output.
Yes. Authenticity, being genuine and consistent will go a long way.
Yeah.
Anybody I've ever worked with or want to work for will have all three of those. I guarantee it. If you are authentic and letting me know that you're human and you have real thoughts, not cookie cutter or computer generated thoughts. If you're genuine about your actions of like, hey, look, man, I know it seems like I want to get promoted, but I just really want to do a good job and help everybody out and just be a good guy. Like I really
Yeah.
just want to contribute
Yeah.
and feel like I'm a positive in everybody's life in every aspect. Dude, I'm going to respect.
And people get it, right? Like people are not dummies. People who've been around, who are at, you know, our stage in our career, or, you know, our stage of experience in life, you can smell it. You can just get an immediate sense of someone when their words and actions and who they're being are not aligned. Like you can smell it immediately. And someone who says they're not chasing promotion, but you know they are, it's like, you know, freaking, you see it, you recognize it, and you know that person's going to come unstuck. Whereas a person who's just being, as you just said, they're just being a great person. They've been a great guy. They're solving problems. They've got a mission that they believe in, and they're authentically working towards that. That's the person other people want around them. That's a person that is going to be influential, because people see the vision and they see the consistent action, as you just said. And it's not an in order to thing. They're not doing these steps to get something back. It's not that in order to freaking, I'll be great as long as I get this thing for me. You know, like you always say, I got mine. There's and it is an effortless state. You know, you'll be consistent as long as you're getting out of bed, you're getting in that state of gratitude, you're getting in a state of responsibility, and then you just go out and engage with people. There's going to be a consistency of all the actions are just going to flow out effortlessly, I think.
Yes. And again, to touch on consistency, I want to know everybody around me on a good day and on a bad day. I don't just want the good days, and I don't just want all the bad days. I love people who can demonstrate, not perfectly, because none of us are perfect. I didn't say that, but consistently showing up as the same person in all situations gives you such comfort and respect. You know, like take anything. The first thing that comes to mind is just like, what could totally derail somebody, right? And that could be literally anything, personally, professionally. And then you see somebody react to it in a calm state and go, yeah, this happened, but we still have these things. We still have this. Hey, remember this, remember that. And you see them and it doesn't derail them. That is more, if anything, that's so less common these days because everybody gets so worked up over everything anymore for whatever reason, and it drives me nuts. So again, I go back to the question, okay, well, I don't like that. I don't like seeing that. So can I be that? Can I be what I want to see, what I want to feel, what I want to be around? Yes, I can. Okay, why not now? Why can't I show up and be in this stressful situation and be calm and show calm? You know, calm breeds calm. We talk about that all the time. I want, well, I can be that. So I'm just going to focus on that. I'm not going to get all worried why another person isn't, but I can contribute. Right. And that's kind of how it goes, man. And I love seeing consistency. I really do.
Yeah. Yep. Great answers there, Mike. I've got another question for you about, you've got a lot of experience now. You're in a senior role, and you've just shared with us all you've gained yet another promotion, which is extraordinary, especially given the world that you're in and the people who you're competing with. We're not talking about, we're not talking about run-of-the-mill people here. We're talking about real star achievers, and to be at your level there and to be recognized again is a special thing. Over these deployments, and maybe over the most recent one, can you perhaps pass on to us about a significant lesson in leadership and how you could teach that to others? Something you've taken away maybe newly in this new role you're in, maybe less of an operator level and more of a manager, coordinator, leader, inspirer, mentor on your most recent deployment. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but has there been a new lesson that you took out of this most recent deployment in that leadership realm, Mike?
Yeah, that's actually an easy question now. And, we've spoke about these things before. And I'm going to speak about how I've looked at things. My whole life has changed in the last year, and none of it fully attributes to my professional career. It's about just being a man and my role and my purpose in life, not being a leader, not being a special operations guy, not being anything, no title, no device, man. It's just about really focusing on what I'm supposed to be and created. Again, I'm going to fully 100% attribute this to my faith, because it's the only place I've really truly been given definition of like, what is my life? What is my whole purpose on this earth? Which I struggled with for a long time, especially after I blew my knee out and lost my position and my title, sitting at home for 30 days with a busted leg and no one visited. Really,
So amazing. How long ago was that?
It was a year. October of last year, I had surgery.
It's an unbelievable year you've had. This is no joke. It's a testament to who you have been being in the last 12 months. Has been on a whole nother level. To watch it as a friend has been an extraordinary thing.
Well, I didn't do it on my own by any means. I've had you as a great mentor and a great friend. And that's exactly what I'm kind of getting into, is understanding who I'm supposed to be all the time. Is not just one thing. I'm not just supposed to be a leader all the time. I'm not supposed to be a special operations guy all the time. I need to fluctuate throughout each thing. And I've talked about these, but really having for me, a biblical understanding of being a leader, being a warrior, being a mentor, and being a friend. I fluctuate throughout all of those every day. I'm a gorilla, so I literally some days will walk in and look at my fingers, and each 4 fingers stands for one of those. And in a situation or a conversation, I literally ask myself, which one do I need to be right now? Maybe I need to be a little bit of both or 3 of them, but very, very rarely is it like 100% of the time where it's like, I just need to be the leader right now. in everything. That's probably not right. I found myself every single day, especially in a leadership position and managing human beings, not machines. I was there to help them deal with every aspect of their life. We spent 10 to 12 hours a day together working. I could tell you everything about their life. I can tell you about their families, what their struggles were, what their goals were, what their positives were, right? Yeah, you get the tasking in the morning of, hey, we need to accomplish this, this, and this. This is our big 5 meter, 10 meter, 15 meter targets. Okay, got it. That's professional. But when you're sitting there and someone comes up to you and their eyes are bloodshot because they didn't sleep all night, and you look at them and go, okay, clearly they're going through something. Who do I need to be in this moment? Do I need to be the leader? Maybe. How about a warrior, right? And not just fighting in combat with weapons, but maybe call it soft if you want. That's fine. You can call me soft. An emotional warrior. Maybe I have to step into a space that's uncomfortable to talk about when it comes to deep down emotions. And guess what? Oh, this guy didn't sleep all night because his wife is home having suicidal thoughts, and he's worried about it. Yeah, that actually happened. How do I deal with that as a man? Am I supposed to tell him, suck it up, deal with it? Hey, man, just push through? No, that's a bullshit answer. How about actually taking 10 minutes and saying, hey, man, come over to this room. Let me talk to you. Let me see what you're feeling. Let me see how I can help you in different ways and actually understand, right? That I don't need to just puff my chest out because I'm this tough guy and act a certain way and show you that it's always good to be hard. Like, it's bullshit. I don't care what anybody says. So literally understanding how to flow throughout the day, that it can change in a second, that I may need to go from more of a leader to, hey, man, I just need to be your friend in this moment. I just need to be able to listen and understand. Or, hey, this is a great opportunity. I've already lived this. I've been through it. Now it's time to be the mentor. Dude, I know what you need. I know where to go. I know who to talk to. Come here real quick. Hey, 5 minutes? I got that. I'll make time. I'm already here 12 hours a day. I can take 5 minutes for you. Come over here and let's have a conversation. Hey, get a piece of paper, write this down. These are the steps you have to take, who to talk to. And it's every day was literally that. And when I knew that, every day I showed up positive because I knew who I was. I knew who I was supposed to be, and I was prepared. There wasn't anything that I had except one day, dude, when my dog died. That was the worst and only day that was bad. Every other day I showed up. I know who I am. I know who I'm supposed to be. I'm prepared. I'm constantly working and I'm constantly growing. I'm ready for the day. And that's never happened on any other deployment.
Right. That's such a great thing to share. That's such a great thing to share with people. That those 4 pillars, again, mentor, warrior, leader, friend. I love the distinction of the mentor, being able to share from life experience. You're able to do that more, just by virtue of having lived more, and having had more experiences. A warrior, I love that you emphasize that could be an emotional warrior. That could be the person who's like, I do not give a shit. I'm coming in there with you. I'm going to get in that foxhole and I'm not going to turn you away. I'm going to stare right in the eyes, whatever the problem is you're dealing with, like you've just said about your mate who was having the problems with his wife. Like, that's real life, and sometimes just a friend, the arm around, could be a upbeat, it could be support, it could be many things. And then clearly the leader we've been talking a lot about. And I love that there's that free flow adaptation to what you're dealing with. And I even like that you share you had a down day. We had Cherry's grandmother passed away since we last recorded. An amazing woman who made it to 99, lived through a Japanese occupation of the Philippines as a teenager, and just an extraordinary woman who lived a life of love and service. And when we were driving over we knew she was passing, and then again for the funeral 2 weeks later when she had passed, I said to the kids that whatever feelings come up for you and whatever feelings you see over this, weekend with family, like there's going to be a spread of them and none of them are invalid. You might see people really emotional, older people that you've not seen, really upset and devastated, or you might feel yourself feelings of joy and happiness, and none of these are wrong, and all of them can be felt and experienced, and we can talk about any of them, and the kids were able to let me know that they'd had real moments of like, oh, should I be feeling guilty because I'm feeling happy? I'm looking forward to seeing my family, and I'm seeing all these people I haven't seen such a long time with our life in Saudi, and it was just a really good place to be, that you can experience the down days too, and whatever feelings come to you, feel them, don't repress them. So I think that's a really good, maybe the last little lesson there. You're this amazing SF leader who's been promoted yet again, despite my friggin' best intentions. And even you are able to have a bad day when your dog that you love passes. And I think everyone can probably connect with that and understand that. I think that's a wonderful thing to share with people, that, you can be great and positive and be there for everyone else. And yet when your hard time comes, you can experience it. And I think there's something very healing to hear that from someone in your position, Mike. So thanks very much for sharing that, man.
Well, it's just the truth, and just going back real quick, man, for Chez's mom, I mean, you shared a amazing grandmother. Sorry.
Yeah.
When you messaged me about it, that you guys were visiting, and, I think I asked about, like, imagine how she feels in this moment. Like, she's at the end of her life and she's had a full life, and she's looking around at the fruits of what she's nurtured and created, of all of her family wanting to be there and surrounding her, having dinner and loving one another and having that great relationship and bond with everybody, man. How much peace she must have felt in that moment, instead of being alone and nobody wanting to be around you because your efforts and everything weren't in the right place your whole life. But it goes back to what's most important is your daily interactions, your relationships, and how you treat people and how you treat yourself flows into everybody else. And everybody was there because that woman made them feel a certain way. And they were like, no, this is important. We want to be here. We need to be here. And look at what she was able to bring together in her life. That is a result of living a good life, a beautiful life of good, positive priorities. Nobody showed up, with, I'm sure, with the, hey, how much money does she have now? Where's her nice car? Where's her house? Look how famous she is. Look at all these accomplishments she has on her wall. Look at all these trophies or whatever that were collecting dust. None of it held true weight in the matters of life. And that really, I thought, was an amazing testament to her, man. Just hearing from you, it was so nice having family around, and look at all the stuff that she did and brought together in her life. That's living, dude. That's the best part.
I mean, there's been a lot going on, this is part of why we had this unfortunate break between episodes, but that experience, Mike, that you're talking about, there's nothing more that brings it home to you when you're there right at the end, and you're like, cannot take any of these material things or successes or achievements or these external things we just talked about. They don't go with you. But the state of being, like, she was just a little ray of, she was about as big as Martha Yoda at the end, still playing piano though, unbelievably, right to the end. And lucid and clear-headed and reciting poetry. She was a professor of English back in the day and recited a whole Wordsworth poem like the morning before she passed. It's extraordinary. She was just the being that she was being was love and joy, and she just radiated and generated that. And she had 42 direct descendants. She had 8 kids, 16 grandchildren, and 18 great-grandchildren.
Mm.
We had a dinner on the second night with 38 people at one of the uncle's houses. He's looking around like, this is when the kids were like on the way home. I'm not sure. I feel a bit guilty because I was so happy. It's like, no. If there's one person who'd be happy to know that you guys were happy with family, it'd be her.
Yeah.
And, finally when she passed, 56 out of the 58 family members were able to get there for the funeral, and it was literally standing room only. At the service, there was more than 400 people there. It was an extraordinary thing to witness, and poignant, but it doesn't have to be a source of misery. It was really a wonderful thing to experience.
How often do you hear that? How often do you hear stories about that? How often do you see people being that way in life? All I ever see on the news is politics and hating each other and treating each other. Oh, you're this, you're that. Well, you're deleted. You're not acceptable. You're expendable. Yeah, I really don't care. Nothing you do has any effect on my life. So I'm just going to, and it's so ugly and disgusting and negative, dude. There's so much pride and ego, and you just fill our heads from the external, man. There's so much more to life when we focus on the right things and who to be, how to be with each other.
No, and like the bigness of life, the joy of, 25 people in a hospital room together, and thinking, man, another 8 people just turned up. Some of us are going to have to leave, so let's go and get a coffee together and talk and connect for the first time in a few years. We've been away, and finding these joyful moments in it, and there's no, none of it is, it's in order to do nothing. There's no in order to, it's just love and connection, and you're living out the values of these people, even when they've gone, the values are still there. Like that's legacy. That's the thing that's going to stick around when all this other stuff is gone.
Yeah. And it may not last forever. It may last a month. It may last a season of your life. It doesn't have to be for the rest of your life, that you have these experiences, there's these relationships. But I guarantee whenever it is our time at the end to sit back and reflect, and everybody is going to go, was my life worth it? Did I do it right? If I could go back and redo it again, would I? Right? Everybody asks. You spend some time with people that are on hospice or that are at the tail end, and you have these conversations with them, you will be open to a world that is so meaningful and beautiful. And it's for a reason, that they've learned and done things over time where they realize it's not about the external, it's about the internal. And they've embodied that the last half of their life. And I can look back at my life and go, man, if I only would have done this earlier, if I only would have seen this earlier, if I would have learned this earlier, where would I be in my life? Where would I be in my friendships, my relationships, all of it? Things would be different. So many lessons to learn from them, man. So many.
Yeah, it's good just to sit with it for a bit. It's really good to talk to you again, Mike. We're not going to let it go this long again. When there was stuff that came up, both of us, you're on your last deployment coming home, we had this stuff happen in the family, and but I love these conversations. I love that we can share them. I love that these are recorded. I love that my kids will be able to listen to them as adults one day. And we we love putting these out there, and we love the feedback. So this might be a good place to wind up. Please send us in feedback, send us questions, send us topics you'd like to hear us talk about. Real life stuff, that's what we're here for. We want to work through it all, and we feel being of service, and there's no in order to for us. This is a thing that we do for ourselves, and it comes from who we're being, and there's no money being made here. This is not chasing anything. So I feel like, I hope that connects with all you out there. All right, Mike, you got anything else you'd like to lay on the listeners before we say goodbye?
No, not this time, man. It feels good to be back. it feels good to have these conversations again. I really want to get back into a rhythm, and us coming back together and putting out some episodes and have some great guests and keep learning all the time. I hate staying stagnant, and I love being I don't know, a light to some people. Not that that's my purpose, man, but just who I've been able to be in the last couple months for some other people. Honestly, I wish I would have had those people in my worst times, and now I can be that. And it's just such a beautiful thing to realize and to be able to do and be a part of. I really hope that everybody that listens to this does get things out of it, that they walk away thinking differently or about different things, or even if we're able to plant a seed in your mind or your soul about making positive change or helping you through struggle or anything else, then we've succeeded. Um, it's great to be a part of. I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to have you as a friend and a mentor. And you're a leader and a warrior in more ways than you think too, Melon. And I speak about it all the time. So yeah, I'm just happy to be home, and it feels really good.
Welcome back. I'm glad you got back safe, and I'm sure I speak for our audience when I say that. So from us to all of you out there, until next week, take care.